All right, say it again.
Watch the last one at the bar.
Y'all subscribe to the Last Ones at the Bar boxing channel, man. We got some boxing fans out there.
Hola, soy Jolie de Medellín y estás viendo las Squad 11 de Bar, el mejor canal de boxeo. Dale me gusta y suscríbete. Y me puedes encontrar en Instagram como Jolie1026 Sánchez. Bye.
Last Ones at the Bar. Exclusively talks about the sport of boxing.
Just want to welcome everybody to another episode of Last Ones at the Bar, baddest boxing podcast out. My name is Wilton Henry, and I'm joined by Blueville Jackson and Triple S, Sugar Shane, Solis, site supervisor Solis as well. How you doing, fellas? How was the weekend?
Weekend's good, man. You know, day by day. You know, had a good swimming lesson yesterday. You know, shout out to my instructor Andrew. He's like the angelic version of Ryan Garcia. You know, Ryan Garcia is the evil version. He's the good version. So shout out to my main man.
What's up?
Also went to my spot, Della J's Soul Food spot on Richmond Highway. You know, very nice spot. But so it was a nice weekend.
Sounds good. What's up with you, Shane? How was your weekend, good brother?
Oh man, it was good and bad, man. I was up here working mostly. And I probably should have kept myself here. You know, I got promoted to head of security.
Congratulations.
Got out of here, got in a little scruffle and everything, you know, dropped somebody, said I ain't know nothing about boxing. I guess he learned, you know, but I mean, you know, I got more important one Ostarine in my system. So, you know.
I feel you. We're gonna keep it on a positive note, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully, old boy, he ain't you know, hooked up to no tubes or anything like that. But shout out to him too. Yeah, man, I had a good weekend as well. Hit my spot a few times. Went to a conference. At the conference, I'm not going to tell too much information because I'll tell the information once the outcome of the conference comes into fruition. Then I'll give more on that. But it was a good presenter. One of the most renowned presenters in my field, you know, so it's a good opportunity to have some conversations with him. And one thing that I took away from that was this, is that sometimes in life and for different people, a message that is being conveyed is more powerful if it comes for somebody that inspires you. For instance, me hearing that message from that black man, that well-educated, well-versed black man, hit more down my bowling alley or down my lane than it could have from any other person. Being a strong man that he is and uncompromising in his beliefs and the knowledge that he presents and conveys, you know, it's powerful, man. It kind of reminds me of how my father was, you know, but it's just a certain energy that you get out of that, and that's important. And so some of those things that I got out of it, that's what I try to present. I shouldn't say I try to. I think that that's one of my strong suits for me in my profession in terms of being able to get the outcomes that I'm looking for. So I just want to shout out the presenter. Like I said, I'll give more information about that once, you know, it's time. Also today, I want to say that was 2020, January 26th. You had the untimely demise of the great Kobe Bryant, the Laker, just had that Mamba mentality, never say die, very talented individual, family man. Bill, when that situation happened, and I think it was like around this time, and maybe just a little bit later, it was confirmed that Kobe Bryant died in that helicopter crash with some of the people, some of the other family members, as well as his daughter. Where were you? Do you remember where you were when you heard that unfortunate news?
Yeah, I know that I was sitting at home and I was sitting on my couch, and it was just one of those things where it's kind of rumored and it's not confirmed, but you just like, you're looking at everything, you're looking, you know, online on social media, and then you're looking at watching the news, and things aren't definite, and you have, places, websites or people like TMZ that's reporting it, so you don't know for sure. And I remember just being a very, somber day, just knowing the details and it coming out as it was being released, like, his daughter being there, and then there was some discrepancy over who else was there at the time. They were trying to figure that out, but it was rumored that other folks were there that ended up not being on the flight, but on the helicopter. But still, it was just a sad situation for the people who passed away that day.
What was your recollection of that day, Shane?
Oh yeah, man. I was at the YMCA with one of my old boxing coaches actually when I got the news. And I think I heard it pretty late, because we got off late, and he just he kind of stopped talking for a minute, and I like how you get to cooling off and everything, you moving around, and you kind of cool off. I kind of cooled off, and I went over there, and I just I seen it. I was shocked. I was shocked right away because I knew it was true once he just froze all of a sudden. So it was a tragic day for sure, and he was definitely one of my favorite players. So
Yeah, it's just when you just think about him, the vibrance of a Kobe Bryant, he just seemed like an invincible guy. Kobe used to have like injuries and things like that would make the biggest man, or the strongest, most muscular guy crumble. You know what I mean? Like when he had the Achilles injury and he's finished up his free throws and he just walked off the court. It's like this dude is just tough as nails, and he just never backed down. And so it was just unfortunate to see somebody that young, lose his life in a situation like that, as well as with his daughter, who he just seemed to love more than anything else, that there was. For me, when I heard about it, I was with my lady at the time, and I came home on Sundays. I typically do my chores, or not chores, but I do my errands. I run errands. So I got home and I was taking me an old man nap. I'm on the couch, I'm resting. Then I get the little alert on my phone, and it says Kobe Bryant dead, helicopter crash. But I'm still kind of groggy, and I'm like, nah, maybe there's some sleepy or something like that. That's just crazy. But this never hit me because nothing like that ever happened before. So I was looking at Wikipedia, and I was trying to see if they had a death date on there. Then I'm looking for CNN or news stations, things like that. Are they reporting anything? Never said anything. It's like an hour or so. And then at one point, CNN, they said that there's a helicopter crash back here, and they didn't say who it was. But by that time, all of the misinformation started coming out. He was with Rick Fox. This person was there. That person was there. And then when I looked and I saw it on Wikipedia, that's when it kind of hit me, because I saw it said his death date. And then I had like a little thing, Kobe Bryant dies in a car crash. I don't even know if they had the amount of people that was on there. And so that's when it hit, kind of. But it even got worse because that night we went to go see Bad Boys, the last Bad Boys. And when we went to go to the movies, they had a helicopter scene in there. It just didn't sit well with me when I saw that, knowing that that's how he passed away. But yeah, man, shout out to, I shouldn't say shout out, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gigi, as well as those who died in that unfortunate incident, January 26th of 2020. That started off like a whole bunch of bad things that transpired in 2020 as well. All right, rest in peace. All right, we got the games coming up. They coming on shortly. My team is playing. You understand what I'm saying? Patrick Mahomes. We're gonna go ahead and three-peat. And if they don't, it's okay if we got them Commanders up in there too. And then if they don't, I got another team that's all three of my teams is in a vying for opportunity to take home that Lombardi trophy. So, shout out to them, man. You fellas, Bill, who would you like to see win the Super Bowl?
I want to see the Bills because they haven't won anything.
Come on, man. You live in the DMV, man. Come on, bro. Like it ain't where you from, it's where you at.
That's true. Well, that's true. But they did beat my Lions. You know what I'm saying? That's how that is to it. Now I want them to beat the Eagles. I definitely want the Commanders to beat the Eagles. You know,
you know what
I
I'm
look
saying?
at the Bills like I look at the Lions. You know, it's teams that just they never won anything. You feel for them. You want them to win. You want them to do it, and they shouldn't get cheated by the refs, which they will do because the refs is going to cheat. They're going to make Kansas City win that game, and Kansas City going to beat whoever wins in the NFC because the refs going to cheat for them. The media and the money team, they want to see Taylor Swift. You know what, Shane? Take a drink every time they show Taylor Swift, in the Kansas City game. Just take one drink. See if you're sober by the end of the game. That's
who you got, Shane? Who you got winning, man? Bill over there spewing that nonsense, man. We over there talking about this conspiracy and all that. Who we got?
Honestly, I want to see Kansas City win, and I won't tell you why, because I already know what you're gonna say if I tell you why. But I definitely don't want the Eagles or the Redskins to win. I know they got another name, but the Redskins, I don't want the Redskins to win. I want the Chiefs to win. I actually think the Washington Redskins might pull it off just because I believe the sport's rigged, and I think they might shock the world and beat Kansas City.
That boy back there, that's a bad boy. He's a poised young man. I like to see the leadership of him, and I like his demeanor. We need more kids like that. We need more people like that. He represents us very, very well. So I'll be rooting for him from that standpoint. And I'm just not a Bills fan. I just as an African American man, for me, I would have a pecking order of who it is I want to win. And the reason why I say that, and I'm not trying to bring no Ryan Clark situation into this, it's just I feel like in years past that there's certain quarterbacks that have had a shorter leash than some other quarterbacks. And so, like I say, to have somebody like a Jaden Daniels, the way he carries himself, and then being so young that you will have another star that's up there with the Mahomes, with the other guys that they consider the elites. You know what I'm saying? So that'd be a good thing to happen. But I also with Patrick Mahomes, this is going to put him closer to making a claim that he's the best of all time. If he can win 3-peat, and then he can win some more, then that fella, man, he has to be definitely Mount Rushmore. Some people already have him there. Also, man, topic of the day, man, what we doing with this man right here, man?
Hey, man, he can that man living his life, man. He can do whatever he want. He can eat whatever he want. I can't say nothing. If he wants to get into shape, he can call us. If he don't, that's fine too.
This right here, nah, brother. It's gone way too far. You know how you need 2 seats though. You understand what I'm saying? And then other thing is this, like I say, he got me. I'm not even this type of person, but he got me dry snitching up in the doctor's office. The doc be saying like, "Oh, sir, your cholesterol is just a little high." Ma'am, do you see this dude right here?
Hey man,
go ahead
shout out
and do
to Bo Mac, man. You need me, call me, but you want to live your life, you're free to. It's free country.
What are we doing, man? What are we doing?
You need to get on the Ryan Garcia guy.
That's true. Hey, fellas, are you familiar with this story right here with DJ Academics and a little 15-year-old? Let me go ahead and break it down real quick. You had DJ Academics on something on this Discord having an inappropriate conversation with a 15-year-old. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and touch on this one right here. This is the reason why you got to get dudes like this up out of our culture, is because once you start doing stuff and then you be accepting of certain things and you allowing nonsense behavior when people acting out of order, you give them a pass. Well, let them do this. Let them no. You check the stuff in early. If you continue to do it, then you need to be. That's a good reason to cancel somebody. If you're talking to a 15-year-old who's being the most mature in the conversation, where he's telling you, you keep telling him, he's saying some like the conversation that they had, and I'm not going to say too much about that. If you haven't heard it, check it out. The conversation that he's having with the 15-year-old would be inappropriate if you're having it with a 40-year-old, let alone a 15-year-old, and he keeps doubling down. The kid's telling you can tell the kid is uncomfortable telling him, nah, I don't do that. I'm straight. Like, I don't do that type of stuff. And it's crazy. The other thing is I was hearing a person who's a content creator, bringing that word up again from last week. He was saying that they lined him up. They act up. They set him up, to get him canceled. You can't set somebody up and line somebody up if it isn't in their spirit to have that type of conversation with a 15-year-old. You would do that. You can't line me up, because if I'm having a conversation with a 15-year-old, I would never talk about that type of stuff with a 15-year-old. I wouldn't even feel comfortable. Like, even if something like that let's change the subject. I don't even, it'd be certain music that's on and I'm around a kid, I don't feel uncomfortable with the song on.
Right.
Let alone me saying it. So, man, get this dude up out of here, man. He's a punk. And so, again, anytime when people doing this type of stuff, you got to check this stuff in early, often, every time. And I'm the person to do it, man.
Fair.
Yeah. Look at this dude right
Where
here.
does it stop? Where, if you don't draw a line somewhere, where does it stop?
You got to, and I appreciate you saying that, Sugar Shane, because that's what we keep doing this type of stuff, and then we wonder, like, once it gets to a point where it spirals out of control, dang, you see what happened? No, it was happening then. See, anytime I get in trouble, I ain't say anytime. Most of the time when I was coming up getting in trouble, it was because people would do something, and I'm like, no, man, you can't, don't do that type of stuff or whatever. Or you try to do something and be slick about being disrespectful. Yeah. Then they'd be like, no, that's so-and-so cousin right there. So-and-so. I don't give a, like, you gonna coward because of this? Because he's affiliated with this person. It may not work out all the time, but again, you got to be able to stand on something. Like last week, when the guy, the only reason what upset me was the fact that how you come to greet somebody. This nigga, like, bro, whatever you disagree with me about, keep it on that. But don't sit up here and come in being all slick and saying disrespectful stuff. That's not gonna fly.
As a white Argentine, that guy on the show, if you don't want me to say something, why are you gonna say it? Why are you gonna make a comment that you wouldn't want me to make? It doesn't make sense.
Right. And then also you had a situation this week where you got the two brothers, Marcellus Wiley. Marcellus Wiley is keeping it all about the dialogue, but then Ryan Clark, he got offended because of things that Marcellus Wiley recently said. It's really the other guy too, that the chubby dude that Marcellus Wiley used to have a show with. They kind of picking at Ryan Clark, but they're doing it as far as dialogue, and they're doing it as far as their opinions against his opinion, right? They're trying to keep it that way. Where Ryan Clark is trying to take offense to it, where he's saying that, no, they don't want to fade with me. They don't want to catch this fade. No, nobody should want to catch a fade when you're 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, you will defend yourself, and you're going to do that very well, I would think. But after seeking a fight because I said that you were hypocritical in your commentary towards Josh Allen, you didn't say the same thing to him that you said to Lamar Jackson. Now, again, I think that they are very critical of Lamar Jackson more than most other quarterbacks for the most part. But in that situation, what Ryan Clark was saying, they had him because they had the audio and they played everything, and what he should have did was told them how he wasn't being hypocritical and why he was saying what he was saying. But he took offense to it, and now he wants to have a boxing match. You got to stop being so emotional, good brother. That's all. Don't bring race into everything. Race don't have to be. You don't have to sit up here and be telling us, well, yeah, and I got it. When he said that, I had to think about my beautiful daughter. One daughter is mixed, and she has freckles, and I want to make sure she loved. Bro, what's all of these emotions, and what's your family got to do with you saying Josh Allen? You're not saying keeping the same energy for Josh Allen that you did for Lamar Jackson. What does that have to do? And like I said before, man, you keep like intermingling race into everything to your biracial daughter, you're going to end up raising a biracial race baiter. Now, last but not least, when it comes to the topics, MLK's family slammed Sexy Red because she put this image up on Martin Luther King's birthday. Do you think that this is inappropriate for an artist of Sexy Red's ilk, and knowing what she represents, the vulgar language that she used, the over sexual lies image that she portrays? Do you think that's inappropriate to have a photo of one of the greatest leaders that any race has known? Are there certain people who are off limits when it comes to this sort of thing?
Personally, yes. I mean, personally, I believe that. But hey, like Ice-T said, man, freedom of speech. Just be careful.
See, this is again. When you say that, that really irks me, brother. Like,
I'm capping. Bill, you capping?
It's not the capping.
He said, "Be careful what you say."
What do we stand for? Like, what do we? We got freedom of speech. We can. What communities? What other communities would allow this type of thing?
I never said it was okay. I said personally, no. But, hey.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, is it the worst thing we've seen?
Somebody come. You got a sandwich in your hand. They say, "Man, give me that sandwich. Throw that sandwich on the ground." Well, you have the right to. You really didn't break a law when you did that, so maybe I'll just buy me another sandwich. Like, no, you did what? This is inappropriate, man. Like, that guy right there fought so hard for you to be able to do with the things that you're doing. It's people that are off limits. Malcolm X is off limits. Marcus Garvey is off limits. Like, those people, the things that they went through, the fight that they fought, those are sacred individuals. You can't, as a culture, allow someone like, she shouldn't even be, to me, in the position that she's in, because it totally goes against, like, when you're trying to elevate. She's such a low vibrancy. Like, what does she bring to the table? What's something knowledgeable that you ever got from a Sexy Red? What's something that inspires you because you see Sexy Red? No, she's going to appeal to your lowest frequency. So we're going to allow somebody who appeals to our lowest frequency to portray. Now, in Sexy Red's defense, when Martin Luther King family voiced their disgust, she said, "Oh, my bad," and took the image down. But just the audacity.
That's good.
That was good.
That's good. But at the same time, this man is an icon. This man. I personally, I believe Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King would not be happy to be associated with this. I believe that he would not. I don't think this is the image that Martin Luther King is going to be happy with this.
No, he would be
man.
happy.
Dr. Martin Luther King, one of the greatest speakers, one of the greatest representatives of the African American
he went through the fire. Like, this dude, he went through the fire, man. Put his life on the line on so many kids. Like, you can't do this type of stuff, man. Like, you, as a culture, as a community, we can't allow these type of things to transpire, man. We gotta stand for something, or else we're gonna fall for anything. We're gonna be the laughing stocks, out here if we continue. Freedom of speech, you can do whatever you want, man. Get up out of here with all of that type of stuff.
It's freedom for that family to slam her for it too.
Absolutely, man. And like I say, you got people out here growing up off of these Blues Clues and Clifford the Big Red Dog being very emotional. Catch me, let's catch a fade. And you're doing, stop it, man. Like, have some intellect, have some emotional intelligence, and then also learn from those. Don't sit up here and be watching people who aren't quality people and be learning from them and getting, how you conduct yourself from those individuals. Find some people that are about something, and it'll make the world a better place. That's what I'm saying. When we growing up off the Flintstones, Fred was a bad dude, man. Had him a family, going to work every day, going through the struggle. Mr. Slate, was kind of a tough supervisor. He had him a good buddy, a diehard buddy. Him and what's Barney Rubble. You understand what I'm saying?
So why is Fred Barney's toes touching?
I don't know. You know, it just
That's
happened
weird.
to be like that. So they grown men. They ain't worrying about little stuff like that.
Weird.
See, nowadays people with feet touch, pause. No duty. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, man, I don't care. They might just end up start scrapping. Like, man, your feet, get your feet off mine, punk. You know what I'm saying? Then you got a little Bam Bam over there, Bam Rodriguez. You know what I'm saying? You see up here, that's Kazoo right there. Yeah, Kazoo. He was a cool. We got at least Dino. You know, but anyway. Man, Tom and Jerry, man, you want something? They over there out the gate, they scrap it. You understand what I'm saying? You know, you got Woody Woodpecker. He wasn't playing with these dudes. You know what I'm saying? They coming after him. He figuring out a way. You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't running from nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like he had to stand up through these challenges through each episode. You know. But anyway, destination is the donation. Don't cap, hit that cash out. I'm a little tired, man. I'm gonna tell you like this before I go ahead and get to these comments on here. Vale, we set up here. We did that before. We were on here 20 minutes. Now I'm restating what it is I said before. So that's 40 minutes of action. You understand what I'm saying? We had to redo what we just did because I didn't hit the on button. I thought I did, but then when we get to this point, when I didn't have the camera on, or didn't start the episode, then Vale's like, did you start? Like, oh man, come on, man.
I just have to be looking at the timer, and I noticed the timer wasn't moving. I didn't see the timer. I'm like, something's wrong here.
And there he is, up with a good fella Ty. Yeah, salute. He says, I was watching about that earlier about academic. Yeah, academics, man. Anybody still supporting that dude, man? I don't know what to tell you. Yes, sir. He says, Señoras Mexicanos knows Sion Isinone, El Ricadole, El Repito, O Los Apontes de los. That sound like when Canelo be fighting. I was watching him earlier. He was fighting John Ryder because you know they have that app, the Zone. Like they keep showing different fights. The other fight that they were showing was him and Triple G in that last fight. Triple G looked a little chubby. So when they were showing the fight with him and Ryder, bro, on everything that had to be about 12 minutes. The dude was like, "Oh, Campeon." He just kept having different names for Canelo, like getting the crowd hype. I'm sitting up there going to the door. I come back. He still got different names for Canelo. Qualis La I'm like, oh, so this is what I'm gonna tell you like this, Crawford. If he's gonna beat Canelo, this is what he's gonna have to do. Don't warm up in the locker room because you're gonna be tired by the time the fight starts. Start when that dude start to introduce Canelo. That's when you start warming up. Because I think Ryder, what he did, he warmed up in the dressing room, and then by the time they finished up all that, I saw him like trying to loosen up his legs. Like by that time, he was trying to get his second win. I'm like, God, duh. But anyway, man, shout out to Canelo, man. All right, let's go ahead and get off into these topics. Let me see. Am I on the right track here? Maybe, maybe not. Because they gotta watch. Because Vale, he love to see a brother, you know, wear himself out. But anyway, yesterday we're gonna go ahead and talk about Diego Pacheco. He was in a fight yesterday against Steven Nelson. Some people were saying that they were impressed by Nelson. I was more so impressed with his chin. You know, he got a little, nice 12th round, I believe, but he showed me more so that being the age that he was, like 36 or 37 years of age, being able to go all 12 and still have something left in the tank to give the young man something to think about in the 12th round. But I thought all in all, I was more impressed with Diego Pacheco. But what say you, Bill? What do you see yesterday in that main event?
I was also impressed by Steven Nelson, but we'll get to that later because actually it was Diego Pacheco's night. I mean, he came in, he was patient, after the third or the fourth round where he allowed Nelson to pretty much show his own hand. Pacheco pretty much started stepping up the pace a little bit, started being more accurate, was able to cut Nelson with the right hand across the face. And once that cut was there, Nelson noticeably started to slow down. His accuracy was off, and Pacheco was just giving him the business, giving him that work. He really was trying to go for the stoppage, but Steven Nelson's chin was just too much. And also, is one thing that didn't impress me about Steven Nelson is that he didn't get too tired, even though he was taking a lot of punishment, a lot of body shots and uppercuts and hooks. He didn't slow down to a point where he could be stopped as far as being tired. You know, there was a time when, you know, in the fight where Pacheco had some rounds where you're like, man, next round, this is probably going to be it. But Nelson's chin, it held up. I think his fighting spirit, because when, you know, Bo Mack was saying some things in the corner, like, hey, man, put it all in. You losing, blah, blah, blah. And even though Nelson was up against, you know, the wall, he never really stopped trying. And even in, we talk about that 12th round, even in the 11th round, you can see him trying to set up, you know, something to make something happen. In the 12th round, especially, he was trying to do you know, get Pacheco out there, Jaime McGee style. I don't know if anyone peeped that, but he was trying to catch him with a right hand slipping. It just didn't work. And he did catch Pacheco with a good right hand. Pacheco kind of, you know, backed off a little bit. And it's something that he could have probably did earlier. But Pacheco, I mean, he did his thing, man. He kept the activity up. He was more accurate. You know, he landed the hardest shots. And he actually went 12 rounds in a fight where it was some times where, you know, even in the 12th round where you could see he was like, man, this is nuts. But he still pulled it out. So impressive performance.
Shane, what you see yesterday?
Well, I'll say this. I was impressed with Nelson too, but at the same time, I actually expected it to be a pretty good fight. You know, I expected it to be a pretty tough fight. I think I predicted like maybe 11th round. You know, and there was a couple times where I thought he might get him up out of there. But yeah, it was a good fight. Shout out to both men. It's Pacheco's night, but you know, shout out to both men. It was a good fight, but I expected it to be a close fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight, man. I thought it was. I don't know. I don't even Steven Nelson. I didn't. He did about as well as I thought. You know, like I say, maybe like the more surprising thing was the 12th round and the 11th round. I think he won the championship rounds. He probably got the 11th and 12th, and I think Pacheco got the 10th. But outside of that, I was more impressed with Nelson's chin because he was landing, meaning Pacheco, he was landing some nice counters, like pull counters and things like that on him. Is that you, Vale, or with that? Let me see. I'm gonna put you fellas on mute for a second, because I hear some little movements back there. Yeah, I was impressed with his chin because he loaded up and some right hands was just landing flush. It was one round in particular. I want to say it was the 9th round. He looked like he stunned Nelson. And I was like, dang, he's about to get him out of there. And the announcers were saying that too. But like I said, you know, Nelson stood in there. Nelson's just a tough spirited guy. You know what I'm saying? Military background. And he's one of those people, he's not going to ever give in. You're going to have to put him out. But I just think that his talent level wasn't as good. He just doesn't have the dimensions. And right now, Pacheco's just a little too young for him. Let's take a look at the punch stats real quick. So yesterday, like you said, Pacheco, he landed, as far as the total punches, almost like 60 more, 132 to 77. Way more accurate. Nelson only landed 13% of his punches, where Pacheco landed 28% of his punches. The power punches, he kind of doubled them up, 74 power punches for Pacheco and only 39 for Nelson. I thought it was what it was. You know what I'm saying? I think Pacheco can move and learn from this. He does still have a few holes that he needs to work on, but he's still young. He's a young guy. So therefore, who's next? Who would you fellas like to see Pacheco in the ring with next? What's the next level of progression that you would like to see?
For Pacheco, you know, he can step up to, you know, another guy like Christian Mabili. You know, even if he wants to fight someone like easy victory. Well, not easy victory, but
Berlanga.
You know, McGee is out there.
Berlanga's calling him out. He's all
calling him out. I would take that fight with him and Berlanga. You got Caleb Plant that's in his weight class. It's all good. He's in a good position where he can, you know, pick and choose. But one thing I don't want him to do is not take on those type of opponents if he aspires to rise to the upper echelon.
What do you mean? That's that's the only other person is Canelo. Like who else would he?
Hey, wait. We know it's boxers that would like to bypass all that and just go straight to Canelo. We've seen that already.
Canelo ain't fighting no 6'4" dude like that. He can get that.
Did he fight 6'3" Callum Smith?
Nah, he a little. He ain't from the UK though. You understand what I'm saying? He's not a bloke. He's not an English mother. I want to go ahead and welcome my main man Ty to the show. What's going on with your legend?
Salute. What's happening?
Ain't nothing to it but to do it. I'm gonna go ahead and get to you in a second. We got to go ahead and get Sugar Shane thoughts on who should we see that young fella in the ring with next, and I'm talking about Diego Pacheco.
Listen, in the words of Chael Sonnen, you don't promote fights, you pick fights. You want the easiest guy for the most money that's going to give you the best result with the biggest name. That's Berlanga. That's who he should fight. That's a winnable fight for him. That's the best one for him to take.
Well, you know, see, Berlanga is going in that situation. He said that, but I think he's going to Teofimo Lopez his way out of the situation. You know, he's saying that
I'd
name.
push him in a corner.
Okay, it's impossible because you know what they're going to do. It's two fights that Berlanga is going to take next. One is going to be somebody like Gabe Rosado. He's going to fight somebody like that in Puerto Rico. Secondly, what he's going to do is he's going to fight somebody like William Skull if he gets the opportunity. If Canelo doesn't take it first, they all doing the same duck season type of tactics. But he's not going to fight no Pacheco. No way, no how. Unless the Sheik is just putting some huge money out there, offer he can't refuse, because you're not going to last all 12 of him. Canelo just sometimes doesn't have that ear to get you up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like once he got you tamed. And I don't even think that Canelo has the eagerness anymore. Like once I got things under control, you really not winning, then I'm going to go ahead and coast my way to victory. And I think that's what Terrence Crawford is looking at when he's seeing Canelo now too. When I saw Canelo against Triple G, I'm thinking Crawford has a lot better chance than I thought because he has a lot of laws in this is the action. And in those, you know when Canelo is about to throw them hands. Like he when he come in there, you'll know. But it's not that it's in spurts now, more so than it ever has been. But anyway, getting back to this young man, he no way, no shape, form, or fashion is Canelo gonna get in the ring with nobody like that. Not to say he's all this and all that, it's just the length and he's youthful. What Diego has to work on though is I saw him and I thought you were going to mention that, Vail, is at certain times at the end of the fight, he started looking up at the clock. You know what I'm saying? So I know that he was tired. So he's gonna have to work on that moving forward. What about you, Ty? Who do you think he should be in the ring with next? Who would you like to see the next level of progression for the young fella?
I'm cool. I'm cool with like Ajay Berlanga. I'm cool with that right now. But far as the fight, I'll just say that I like your guys were saying, I was impressed with Steven Nelson. Like he came out very anxious, you know, and you see he wanted to win. You know, he came out, you know, moving forward, throwing his shots. But I would say it was around that fourth or fifth round. I think when he got cut, that's when you start seeing him back up a little bit. But yeah, he showed hard. He showed that he was composed despite the cut. But like you guys said, like all the way up to the 12th, like he never really like faded or anything. Like so, I take my hat off to him. But you know, hats off to Pacheco for winning. It was a good fight.
Man, that dang on Stone Cold boy, he gonna sleep real good these next couple days, man, because he took some hellacious punches. Dude was walking him in, boom, boom, and then he'll sit up there. Some of them left hooks. I don't know if he knew his chin was that good. You know what I'm saying? But you know, shout out to them, man. It was a good little fight to check out last night because we haven't had much to see, you know. Moving forward, though, let's go ahead and keep it going, though. Let's keep the energy up. And let's take a look. Berlanga is capping. Andy Cruz, he dominated Salcido in a lopsided decision. Vail, what did you think about your boy Andy Cruz?
I mean, he looked good. I like that you know he was able to get some rounds in, and even though he didn't stop Saucedo, I mean, he definitely tried to, go for it in the last round and really make his mark. So it was a good performance by him. Stepped his game up.
Mm-hmm. Shane, you see it?
I did, but I was on the phone through about half of it. He looked good from what I saw, though.
Yeah. What about you, Ty? What you think about Andy Cruz?
Yeah, that was a good fight, man. I like how in the first round both guys were going at each other's body, definitely doing some body work. But Cruz was landing, the better shots, snapping. Salcido's had bad. Salcido had his moments too. But it was a good fight, Andy Cruz showed why he's great so early in his career. And like Val said, that last round looked like he was going for the kill. But, Salcido, he was holding, he did what he do to, stay on his toes. So it was a good fight. I noticed how, once he was giving everybody handshakes at the ring, Keyshawn didn't want to touch his hands. So looks like he's still mad about, I guess that he lost in the amateurs.
Yes, sir. So looking at the punch stats, you see Cruz, it was a dominant performance. 203 punches landed by Andy Cruz to Salcido 62. Whitewashed him in power punches, doubled him up. 105 power punches to 48. Dominant performance by the young man. What you were referencing as far as Cruz was coming through yesterday. Can you guys see this?
Yeah. He gave him a pound.
Yeah.
It ain't like he just blew him off. He gave him a pound.
Yeah, you can tell the hesitation there.
Yeah, I know.
And then he goes over to do some autographs and things like that, where Shakur had the same energy. So you can see that there's still a little rivalry.
Maybe he had some food on his hands or something. Maybe
well, see, there you go again. So can we live in reality and stop trying to make things what they're not? It's very important. So with that being said, if you're gonna have that energy for him, fighting. Don't sit up here and be mad at me because I want to fight you. Again, that's the Clifford the Big Red Dog Blues Clues. Dude, if you sitting up here, you don't want to. What's wrong with just being respectful of the fact that the man just won a decision, dominated performance? Good job. It's nothing wrong with that. Or good job, but you still can't mess with me. Let's go ahead and get busy. Or put yourself in a situation where it makes sense for me to fight you and we can go ahead and handle our business. But you can't have a grudge with somebody, but you're not willing to fight him. To me, that don't sit well. He's sitting up here on some DJ Academics type stuff, some weirdo type energy. That's the thing I don't like. He's winning me over because I like the kid now more than I did before because I saw the vision of what it is he's trying to do. But that part of it still doesn't sit well with me. What do you guys think about that, Keyshawn and Cruz? Their little turmoil that they got, or a little, it's only one-sided. It's Keyshawn is the one who has the issue, where I don't think Cruz has an issue with him. Any thoughts? If not, we can keep moving on. Also, last week,
I was gonna hit it, Will.
Okay.
I just want to say, he could potentially be waiting for him to win a couple more fights, and he might want to kind of build some kind of rivalry up, create a story with him, just a possibility, not a probability, but, just kind of throwing that out there for him.
I think when I look at them, the way they fight, I think Keyshawn will whoop Andy Cruz now. I don't think it's the same.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I saw the fight that Cruz had before. He got hurt a little bit in that fight. He's talented, don't get me wrong, but I think that Keyshawn has improved and has another gear that he can go to. And once he starts landing those bombs on him, I don't think he's going to be able to take that stuff from Keyshawn at the pro level, So just go ahead and knock him off, man. Don't be sitting up here and be worried about that dude, man. Handle your business, And all these dudes, I wouldn't fight Shakur, and I wouldn't, Imagine Muhammad Ali. I wouldn't fight this person. It's no, we fighters. We can be we can be as cool as we possibly can be. But at the same time, at this particular point, I'm not cool with anybody. This is my life, man. This is my livelihood. I need to go out here and get busy. I need to show who is the best, and whoever that is. No offense to you. I don't have a problem with it. But this is a competitive sport. But anyway, maybe I'm the only one with the energy, man. And sometimes you
No. Ali was going out there getting the fights, man. When he's the champion, he's still out there going to get the fights. The real champion, when he was the real champion, he's still going out there getting the fights with people and everything. Even though, you know, I'm with you.
You were here later on, like, man, Frazier was mad because he thought him and Ali was kind of cool. But as soon as the cameras came on in the public, he wanted the public to know that Frazier can't mess with me. He's calling them all type of names and stuff like that. With Foreman, like, people didn't know that they was having conversations with each other. Like, he would go meet with him and stuff like that. Like, he trying to get the rematch and that sort of thing. I'm glad that Foreman didn't go for the rematch. I was worried about Ali if they had the rematch, even though Foreman turned into the big red dog, once he got a little bit older. Now, a new way. He was in a fight we talked about last week. We kind of made predictions. I think, Vail, you were accurate when you said 4th round. A new way set the boy up. The boy is telling him to come with it. And he said, be careful what you ask for. The same thing he was requesting a new way to do to him. That's exactly what he did. Absolutely. Excellent performance by the monster. A win, KO in 4. They say he's taking his talents to Las Vegas. I want to say in April. First off, what did you see in the performance, and who would you like to see him face next?
It was all she wrote, man. I mean, it really, even though I did call it down, correctly in the 4th round, realistically, when you watch that fight, I knew he could have ended that fight either round we chose, in the 2nd round or 3rd round. He really only needed that 1st round to really compute everything he needed, to see everything he needed. Even the 2nd round, you can see that he was basically just toying with Kim. So once Nui started landing those real hard body shots, I mean, it was just a matter of time. And them shots, you could hear it, and it was hurting. And we talking these like junior featherweights, and them shots are hurting. So it was all she wrote, man.
Who would you like to see him fight?
Akamadali with MJ. Yes, okay. MJ or Nakatani.
Nakatani. Okay. What about you, Sugar Shane? What you see, and then also what you think should be next for the monster?
My goodness, man. I mean, he's a bad man, and I got all the respect in the world for him. I think I told Ty this in a comment earlier. Now we had talked about this, and I was the one that said this man had some warrior in him and everything. My goodness, though, man, did you see the horrible footwork on that young man?
Yeah, I saw it going into the fight. Yeah, I saw it.
Oh my goodness, man! If I could ever drop myself down to deplete myself so much, there ain't no way I'm 280, but ain't no way. But if I could, man, I would have gave in away a better fight. And that is not capping. My goodness, man! Like, get some better competition. I'd like to see him fight anybody that's got at least some sort of footwork.
Yeah, I mean, that's
not throwing hooks the whole time, But I mean,
yeah, that's the reason why everybody was going with such a quick outing, a quick night, because there's a late replacement. Dude looks so slow, lethargic, wide punches, bad footwork, So, MJ next or somebody like that would be great. What about you, Ty? What you see the other day, and who would you like to see him face?
Yeah, I just saw the highlight, but yeah, that was like you said, the guy told him bring it again, and he got what he asked for. But one thing I did notice is he got caught in the face, and then he was holding his body. So I'm like, dang, did he feel it to his body after getting caught for the face? But I don't know, but that just showed that Inoue got some serious power. As far as like who I want to see him face next, if Brandon Figueroa gets past Fulton, maybe I would like to see that. But I feel that Inoue would just be like if Figueroa was just coming in, I feel that Inoue would just be catching him while he's coming in. But I still like to see it at this point. Like if he does get past Stephen Fulton.
Yeah, what I would like to see is that MJ, that Akmadalia fight. That's the only person left to me at 122 pounds that really has a legitimate shot. That boy can fight. Like I said, in the last match that I seen Ahmad in, he can hold his own. And as long as he's in the fight, then Inoue's going to have something to worry about. If I was Inoue, I would hold off on moving up. What I would do is, if I'm going to stay, if somebody else has a belt, maybe collect somebody else's belt. But Ahmad is the only, as far as challenge to me, that's there. I would hold tight, come to Las Vegas, maybe Ahmad somebody like that. Maybe, I don't know if he can keep getting away with these type of fights because he just fought Doheny. And, you know, if you are one of the top pound for pound fighters and that's your claim to fame, then you should be taking on, you know, higher level opposition. You should be taking the Ali approach. When Ali couldn't fight Foreman, then he's like, well, bring on this person or bring on that person. When Foreman got cut and he wasn't able to participate when they were first scheduled to fight in Zaire, he was like, well, get Joe Frazier over here. Get this person. Like, he just want the next person in line. Kind of like Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis was about to fight. I forgot the guy's name. I want to say he was from Canada. He ended up getting injured. So he said, well, bring in Klitschko. And people are like, whoa, like, you got about 2 weeks left and you want to fight Klitschko? Like, that's, you talking about somebody who, like, fighting somebody with a totally different style that you've been preparing for, but he was willing to do that because that's what a champion, that's what somebody from that cloth does. But from a financial standpoint, what I would do, MJ, April, then I would wait for the big matchup because this over here, him and Nakatani, not here. I don't know why they're trying to do it over here. I would do that over in Asia because that's going to blow the roof off of numbers and it'll do astronomical numbers out there far east. What do you guys think about that? If not, we can move forward. Also, there's talk about Tank. Tank wants a little bit of smoke, he thanked.
Man, we're new. Nah, man. Nah,
Can I
man,
finish,
man.
though, you mind if I
Put that
finish?
dude.
Can I finish what I'm saying, sir? So Tank, he congratulated him. He wished him luck. And then he said, but he wants to crush him. I think Inoue came in at 121 or so. Tank campaigns at 135. You hear Leonard Ellerby, when he doesn't want to fight somebody that's 140, he'll say, well, Tank can still make 130. What do you think about a potential matchup if Inoue comes up to 130, Tank comes down to goes up to 130, and Tank comes down to 130?
No.
Do you think Inoue will have a chance?
Yeah, no. I think the size and power disparity is too much. It's weight class for a reason. It's a reason why this dude is like 4 weight class above him. Like, no.
Okay. So what about you, Shane? Do you think that Inoue will have a shot against Tank Davis?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think Tank is very, very smart about fighting at 135. When these guys come in and fight Tank, you know, like when you look at Frank Martin, man, like you can see Frank's skeleton. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at Ryan and then go look at Ryan versus Devin, look at the size difference of them. I mean, like these guys come in when they fighting Tank, man, and like Tank is natural. He up there doing backflips on the stage and everything at the weigh-ins. You know, while the other guy like, I don't even want to talk, man. Like, give me some food. You know, he like the reporter coming up and, you know, he's giving the reporter the shoulder roll trying to get on, you know. So I think Tank's really smart and very, very powerful, you know, for these guys that are much taller than him. Obviously, I think Tank would. That's an easy route. Definitely a good fighter, but it's just way too much punching power from Tank. You know, for in a way, he would just have to clip him one time, and Tank's definitely got the ability.
Well, my pushback to you, Sugar Shane, will be this: everything that you just said to me is Tank takes advantage of weight when he's having guys when they weigh in at 135. But the fight would take place at 130. And I know that Tank had a catch weight with Santa Cruz, but at that time, Tank was younger. And so Tank is north of 30 years of age now, and he's been fighting at 135 more years. So you don't think that he would be in a similar situation as the Frank Martins, as the Ryan Garcias, who was depleted, and this guy right here, Monster Inoue, is coming in strong as he possibly can be, doesn't have to push away the sushi off of his kitchen table. He can have as much sushi as he wants. You don't think that will play a factor?
No, because Tank, even coming in at the weight, Tank he's the A side, and one of the big things is Tank gets the clauses in his favor and everything, the rehydration clauses, all of these things. He had those in his favor in those fights where these guys couldn't get that much bigger than him, right? But Tank is the A side, and I guarantee you he doesn't have that same rehydration clause when it comes to fighting anyway. He can definitely make the weight, get drained, and make the weight, and then catch an IV drip or something like that, and he could be bloated up to 160. I mean, that's a joke, but he bloated up by the time of you see a clear size difference by the time the fight happens the next day.
Well, and then I think that there definitely shouldn't be a fight then, because you can't expect somebody who was like a flyweight. And then I agree. Yeah, then it definitely shouldn't be a fight then. What about you though, Ty? What do you think? You think that Monster will have a shot at 130 against Tank Davis? Tank coming down and the Inoue coming up.
Yeah, I think it may just be a little too much for Inoue. I mean, where he fought at 118, 122. We just like to see how he does, like 126. But I think that's just a little bit of a jump. And then I just can't see Tank going down. So, I mean, if it did happen, I'll just go with Tank because Tank is more closer to that weight than Inoue is. He'll have to jump up. So I think Tank would just be a little more stronger. But, yeah, I think that weight jumping just might be a little too much for Inoue. So I'll just favor Tank in that one.
I would favor Inoue. I think Inoue would Manny Pacquiao, Oscar De La Hoya. You understand what I'm saying? Tank try to come down to 130. Next thing you know, he just a little bit less is dynamic. You see Inoue with these paws on there. You get to catching him with some of them hands. Then next thing you know, Tank is over there looking at the sun. You understand what I'm saying? They had that little sun on the Japan rising sun. You know what I'm saying? Like you be looking up at it. But look at them hands, though, boy. Yeah, Tank don't want none of that. You see that right there? That's Tank. Yeah. So I idealistically,
Tank passed the eye test as good as anybody. Now, just because he ain't fighting the people he ain't supposed to be. Come on now.
only thing I'm gonna say is this, though. In all honesty, I just don't think that Tank deserves a Monster Inoue because you have to put.
Agreed.
It should be other fighters you should be seeking out. You should be seeking out the Shakurs and people like that.
Yeah.
That dude is gonna knock out Inoue, and then he's gonna talk about, I'm the pound for pound king. I'm number one. And you have casual fans saying, and you laugh, Shane, but you're gonna have casual fans saying that he's number one. People who don't watch boxing will say he's number one because he knocked out the number one dude.
I think that Monster got enough things to worry about. And he's young enough, like right now. See, if he was in a situation where he wanted to cash out and they was offering him all type of money to do it, he's like where Crawford is. With Crawford, like I'm ready to retire, but if I'm gonna fight one more fight, let me make it the big one where I can go and test myself against Canelo. I'll go do that as opposed to sitting here at 154 fighting Madramovs and Murtazalievs and people like that. Where I want the casual fans don't know those guys, but those guys are just as much of a challenge as Canelo is to me. So I'd rather just go ahead and go for the gusto and get get properly rewarded for it. I just don't think Inoue's there, and he makes so much money out there in Japan that's not a factor. Where he still can make some good money, Akhmadaliev, and then also the big one for him to me would be almost as financially gratifying is going to be the Nakatani fight. So he has some things up his sleeve. Now, maybe after that is over with, if Tank is still around, he still wants that smoke, that he'll better prepare himself. And he'll be more comfortable at the higher weights because then he can go to 126, fight somebody like you said, the Brandon Figueroas or somebody like that to get acclimated to that, and then make my last, hurrah at 130 against Tank Davis. Now, we also have some predictions. Now, Vail, he was over there chomping at the bit, blaming everything on the Sheik as why we weren't getting any fights. But next week, you got the PDC has a pretty nice fight card next week. It's starting off with the David versus David, not David versus Goliath, but February 1st at the T-Mobile Arena, you got David Benavidez. They call him the Mexican Monster or Bandera Roja, 28 years of age, in his prime, 6'2". He seems to be taller to me sometimes when he's facing guys. He looks so long. He has a 74-inch reach. He is 29-0 with 24 KOs, coming in after his fight with Gazdik, which he won a 12-round decision, unanimous decision. Also recently beat the likes of Dimitri Andre, Caleb Plant, so on and so forth. So he's coming in after a few impressive victories. Some people thought they saw a few chinks in his armor against Gazdik, but Gazdik is a very tough fighter to come to 175, a new weight class, and look good against. But he did to a certain degree. David Morrell, he is 27 years of age, a southpaw, 6'1", 78-inch reach, fighting out of Minneapolis, Minnesota by way of Cuba, has a record of 11-0, 9 KOs. I'd never seen that alias before, and I wouldn't know how to pronounce it, so I won't butcher that. He's coming off a fight that some people was unimpressed with as well when he fought Hot Rod last fight, but he also won a unanimous decision. These guys are winning like clear-cut decisions, and people still are giving them a little bit of grief about their wins. Sina Akbeko, his fight with him, he was knocked out in the second round, but he made a lot of allegations about PED use against Morrell, and he was telling David Benavidez, be mindful, make sure that y'all test, he said, because they were testing me, but they never tested him. And so he was making those accusations as well. But anyway, what do you think, fellas, man? Let's go ahead. Let's reverse it. We'll start with you, Ty. Who do you like next week and why?
And it's a good fight, but I just got to go with David Benavidez. I just think experience plays a big factor in this. He's been in there with, like you said, the likes of Demetrius Andrade. I totally forgot about David Lemieux. What he did to David Lemieux is early. He got him out there fast. So, like I said, he beat Caleb Plant. These guys, former champions. So I think Kyron Davis, Anthony Durrell. So he's got a lot of experience on his side. David Morrell, he hasn't fought, any caliber fighters like that, but still he's a big dude. He's strong. He's got power. So I think it's just like we may get like a toe-to-toe fight, but I think David Benavidez, that's his his specialty. He does this. He stands in there. He trades with you. He goes to the body and he just breaks you down. And I think it just falls down to who could take each other's punches. And I just think that. This is David Benavidez's game. He's just going to take it to Morrell. He's going to be like, man, I'm doing something I've never done before. I can't handle this. But I'm going to give it to David Benavidez. I'll say late round stoppage. But I do think it's going to be a war.
What about you, Shane? What you thinking?
Okay, now I don't want to say this because I'm just biased. I'm not biased. I know David Morrell is a tough Cuban. I know David Morrell is a tough Cuban fighter. He had a lot of accolades in the amateurs and everything. He's 11-0. One thing I'm gonna say though, the only retractors David Benavidez could possibly have is Canelo fans. And I'm gonna tell you this: PEDs or no PEDs. That man has the best combinations in the game. The speed of those hands and everything, decision or not, man, this man this is not gonna be a close fight. I mean, it might go to decision, but it's not gonna be a close fight. He's gonna take him to school, man. I'm telling you.
Who are you talking about?
David Benavidez is going to take him to school. He has the best combinations in the game. My favorite fighter in the game right now. I think he's a take on all comers fighter. Man, he's made some good fighters look average. And I mean, there's a reason that Canelo ain't fought him. I got mad respect for Canelo, and I can completely understand if he don't want to. There's a reason he ain't trying to. And respect to this man going up. I'm just saying it's not gonna be close. He got the best combinations in the game. And guys, I gotta get up out of here. I'm finna have to clock out for today, so I got to roll. It's good talking with you guys, and I got Benavidez by decision, but a dominant one.
Gotcha. All right, have a good one.
All right, guys.
All right, what about you, Vail? What you got?
I got Benavidez by decision going down the stretch. I don't think it's going to be a domination. I think Benavidez may dominate down the stretch in the last maybe three rounds though. But I think it's going to be a banger. It's going to be a war for the first half of the fight, and even going into the second half. It's just that Benavidez' game plan is pretty much just if he starts faster and it starts to wear Morrell down, that's where he can win it by stoppage, and that's where he can, get his dominance more. If he the longer he waits, I think that's what gets David Morrell into this fight and have David Morrell win rounds. And David Morrell's strategy, if David Morrell, David Morrell is more kind of a boxer puncher. And if he starts thinking like I could just bang and brawl because I'm bigger than or I'm stronger than David Benavidez, that's where I think that's going to be the wrong game plan. Now, David Morrell can, use his boxing ability and use his power to stick and move, but really he has to gain David Benavidez respect early. And if he could do that, and then stay disciplined, stay composed, and not let David Benavidez speed up and give Benavidez constantly things to think about, I think he can win it. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I still think that I have David Benavidez by decision.
Yeah, I'm going with the slight upset with David Morrell. I think he's going to be victorious in this one. See, I think it's going to be different moments of the fight that is kind of, I look at it differently. I think early, Morrell is going to have success. Very good fighter, and he just hasn't had the experience of fighting at this stage, at this level. The lights are going to be enormous, but he is always great the first 4 rounds, no matter who he's fighting. And I don't see that being the case, not being the case in this one. Also, it takes Benavidez a little bit of time to rev up. Once he gets to cranking out those punches, he's kind of like a rock'em sock'em robot. But it usually takes him about like the 3rd round, 4th round. That's when he really finds his groove. I thought that Boo Boo Andre was having some success until he got clocked. I want to say that was around the 3rd round, and it was all downhill from there. Other fighters, Caleb Plant, that was a close fight, but then it got to a point we always knew that Caleb he wilts once it gets towards the middle latter part of the fight, and so same thing happened against David Benavidez. So I think rounds 4 or 5, I would say that Morrell is probably going to be up. But I think that once it gets to the middle rounds, I'll give that in the favor of David Benavidez. So I think once we get to about the 8th, 9th round, it's going to be kind of close. But I think the kid is going to find another gear, and he's going to figure out that I do have enough in the tank. And I saw that Morrell against Hot Rod, he still had enough in the tank. But Benavidez, when he fought against Vosdick, I thought his energy started to decrease. And that was surprising to me because that was normally his go-to, was to start revving it up and just being too much for the guys he was facing before. And then also I'm thinking at 175. See, some guys are like, they're great at certain weights. It's like some basketball players, like you may have a dude like Lawrence Moulton. Like when he was in college, he was a great college player, but once he got to the pros, he was kind of a tweener. Like, is he a 2 guard? Is he a 3 guard? And to me, David Benavidez is a great 168-pound fighter. I'm not so certain at 175 he's going to be the same way there, because if I'm thinking about these guys at 168, I would go with Benavidez for sure. But at 175, I think that may be more up Morrell's alley than it is Benavidez. So I'm going to say 10th round TKO victory for David Morrell, but it's going to be a doozy, man. It's going to be a really good fight to see. Let's go ahead and go into the chat right here. We got Nerd. He says that Morrell will no longer have breaks because they will get beaten off by Benavidez. Okay. Nerd also says Morrell is not your typical Cuban fighter with great footwork. He doesn't defend well after attacking and telegraphs his shots. We shall see. I see David Benavidez. He comes in. He's like that washerwoman. You understand what I'm saying? And so we'll see that technique. Because sometimes, man, just being mean and wanting to overwhelm your opponent, some guys may have the answer for that. And the size of Morrell. See, Morrell to me is more like Boo Boo Andre, but he's bigger and stronger, so he'll be able to absorb some of the stuff that Boo Boo wasn't able to absorb. It won't overwhelm him like it did Boo Boo. All right, so we got John Lopez. Shout out to you. And then he says Benavidez at 175 was not the same. Thank you, sir. You see that as well. So we shall see. Very good fight. To be anything else?
Add something. Yeah, Let me add this. I would say, even though Benavidez got the experience and he's fought better competition, David Morrell, on the other hand, he hasn't absorbed the punishment as some of those fighters that Benavidez fought. Like take David Lemieux, he was dominated by Triple G. And I mean, you take Caleb Plant, he got stopped by Canelo. So those fights could have took something out of those fighters. Well, whereas Morrell, I think he's a fresh fighter. He don't got no wear and tear. Like I said, he's got that Cuban background. So I think he going into this fight, he's a fresher fighter, no wear and tear. So I think he's going to give it his all. And that's why I say it's going to be a war as long as it lasts.
Well, that's good. He's going to give it his all. And David Benavidez, this dude is always in a grudge match. You know what I'm saying? Like the Caleb Plant fight. Like they didn't like each other. There's some other guys that he was facing. I don't like that guy. And I like that. I like the energy that he has, but he just got that little chip on his shoulder. But one thing to factor that a lot of people aren't taking into consideration. See, nobody really wanted to mess with the Mexican monster, hence Canelo. Canelo's, and we'll get to Canelo in a second as far as his excuse why he's not fighting. However, this David Morrell wants him. That's a whole different thing. Like, no, I want him. Like, no, give me that guy. And it says a lot about the young man already. And I see some of the things that he says because he thinks that David Benavidez isn't as skillful. Now, it could be one thing that you see when you're watching him, and it may be a whole nother thing in a ring, as well. But we'll see, man. It's going to be a goodie. Thank PBC for putting on such a great fight. But also, fellas, on the undercard, I mean, I think this is one that y'all really are interested in as well, is Brandon Figueroa, Stephen Fulton 2. Let me go ahead and give the particulars. Brandon Figueroa is 25-1-1. The one loss was to Stephen Fulton. He has 19 KOs. He's 28. They call him a heartbreaker. He kind of looks like Ryan Garcia in that image right there. 5'9", 72.5-inch reach. Coming off a victory over Jesse Magdaleno. I don't think it was all that impressive, but he got a 9th round TKO victory. Also has a decision victory over Mark Magsayo. Stephen Fulton, 22-1, 8 KOs. Not that big of a puncher. He's 30 years of age. They call him Cool Boy Steph. He's 5'6.5", 70-inch reach. Hails out of Philadelphia. Like I say, that record right there, not too much KO power with them 8 KOs. And the one loss was to the monster Inoue that same summer, about 4 days before the Spence and Crawford fight. He took an L. But he's coming in off of a split decision victory over Carlos Castro. Fulton went down in the 5th round, but he showed a lot of heart, a lot of grit, determination, and he was able to be successful in this comeback fight after being totally annihilated by the monster Inoue out there in Japan. What say you fellas, man? I'm gonna start with you, Vale. What's going to be the outcome of this fight? It's gonna be a replay.
It's gonna be a replay as far as how it goes. I think these guys are still evenly matched. Even though Stephen Fulton, he had the loss against Inoue, and in his last fight he got dropped. And he's showing a little bit of confidence issues, as far as, I mean, even though he can seem confident, but if you're a fighter and you have those things happen to you, you're going to have some doubts. He won't be the same folks he was prior to that loss. But in Figueroa's case, I think Figueroa has taken a lot of punishment too over the years, as far for a young fighter, because he's a pretty much a volume puncher, wear you down type of fighter. And I think a lot of that punishment, that could take its toll either. So I expect the exact same fight, a similar fight, and the thing about Fulton is, because, and it's probably going to be his downfall, this fight, Fulton can actually win this fight easier if he just resorts to, boxing and moving and using that instead of using the game plan that he did the first fight. But I think his pride won't allow him, and he's still going to think he can sit there and bang with Figueroa. And I think it'll be a replay of the first fight, except in the last few rounds, I think the toe is going to take. I think Fulton's body will take a toll, and I think that Figueroa is going to stop him. I think in around the 11th or 12th round. So I have Figueroa winning by stoppage in the 11th round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, this is probably the fight I'm most excited for. The first fight was crazy good. I'm gonna go with Cool Boy by decision. As you guys pointed out, he doesn't have power. He's feather fisted, but he's the guy. Like I agree with Val. He might have some doubts now from his last couple fights. He was dropped against the monster. He was dropped against Castro. But he's the guy that he fights his opponent's game, and like he got up against Castro, was landing big shots, started landing bombs. Even though he don't got the power, he was landing big shots on Castro that was snapping his head back. So I think Fulton, he is a former champ. He could definitely make those adjustments, and I know that he's going to go into this fight with a game plan. Well, Figueroa, he just keeps coming forward, throwing punches nonstop. But like I said, Fulton's a guy that fights his game. He's gonna eventually, try to figure Figueroa out. Yes, Figueroa is gonna keep coming, but Fulton, he's gonna stand his ground and trade with him. But the first fight, Brandon Figueroa's face was busted up, but I think that he had Fulton hurt a couple of times in that fight. But I'm just gonna go with Stephen Fulton, because I think like I said, I just think that he has the composure. He had the determination, and he fights his opponent's game. So I'm gonna go with Stephen Fulton by decision. And I wanted to add about David Morrell and Benavidez. I wanted to add that when David Morrell fought the guy Bolsonaro, he went into a coma after that fight, and Tony Weeks was the ref in that fight. So I think that contributed to Tony Weeks as a referee, him stopping a couple of fights that he stopped early. I think that, he felt in his heart, man, this guy went into a coma. Now I gotta do a better job as a ref. So I think that really contributed to him stopping those fights that, the fans felt that he stopped early.
Yeah, as far as Fulton and Figueroa, I think both guys are a step slightly slower now than they were before, just slightly. And just that and the wear and tear of Figueroa. I don't know how well Figueroa takes care of himself either, not to put personal business out there, but he did have like a DUI since the fight that he had against Fulton, or Fulton Figueroa won. Kind of like some other guys who try to, even his brother and other guys who come back, and they don't necessarily look the same as they did before. Like I said, I don't know how much he's doing to his body in between fights as well. And then, like I say, with the wear and tear from just taking so many punches, he could be, more of a shell of himself now than he was in the first fight. I think if he's close to what he was before, I will have to favor him against Fulton. This is Fulton. Like what you see in these highlights, you would think somebody with 8 KOs and 20 victories, that they would be more unwilling to exchange, as much as he does. But he likes to sit there and kind of bang and try to take some of your work away by like rolling with punches, kind of like a Tevin Farmer to a certain degree. They fight a little bit differently, but Tevin Farmer is not that big of a puncher, but he's not running from you, you know. But I think it works better for Tevin Farmer than it does for Fulton, especially at this stage of his career, because I think that he still is feeling the effects a little bit from the new way beatdown that he had, and then also the confidence that kind of was taken away from him a little bit. Hopefully this fight that you're watching right here with Castro, that was the fight to kind of build back the confidence. So now moving forward, I'm straight, and you'll see more of the old Stephen Fulton as opposed to, you know, the way he looked at parts of this fight. But you have to be impressed with him being able to come back, you know, and be victorious after getting dropped in this fight, because he kind of looked outgunned at certain points. I kind of have no idea of how this fight is going to play out, because I don't know what version of both guys we're going to see. I haven't seen much of Figueroa, but I wasn't impressed the last time I did see him in his 9th round TKO victory in his last fight. He just was just too much for the guy that he faced. I don't think he'll be too much for Fulton, but will that constant pressure, the heavy hands, will that get to Cool Boy? Will Cool Boy just be a little too elusive for Figueroa? I'm gonna go with Figueroa being victorious. I just think at some point he's gonna probably catch Fulton, and I don't like the way Fulton is responding sometimes when he gets hit with some of those shots. Figueroa does have some pop, and I think eventually he'll get to him. I'll say about the 7th round, I'll give it to Brandon Figueroa. But again, I don't see much from Brandon Figueroa. So when you mention him possibly facing somebody like the Monster in the future, the Monster will eat him up because he's just too accurate, too precise with his punches, and he has too much power. You can't keep getting hit by somebody like that for all 12 rounds if you aren't defensively responsible. So I'm going to have to go with Brandon Figueroa, but I'll be rooting for Cool Boy. Anything else you guys have when it comes to this matchup?
I just want to say I salute Cool Boy, you know, taking on these tough fights. I don't recall knowing too much about Castro before he fought him, but like he was game in that fight, man. He was taking it to Fulton, letting his hands go, throwing combinations. So I just want to salute Cool Boy, you know, for taking all these tough fights back to back to back.
Shout out to Cool Boy, man.
Yeah, salute. Hey, you know.
Yeah, salute to him. All right. Is that it right there? Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, man. Don't be that way. Don't be a hater, man. Go ahead and do that now. Hit that sub if you're not a sub, you know. I'm going ahead and give you time to go ahead and do that. It don't cost nothing, man, to go ahead and do that. You know, your boy Vail, he get up every Sunday, you know, craving these boxing conversations. Me too. You know, this gives me an opportunity to do some things that I typically don't do, because you have to be so professional Monday through Friday. And so my safe space, my happy place is for me when I get a chance to do something that I just naturally like to do, and that's talk boxing. And again, if we got any guests that comes on, shout out the coach. You know what I mean? Just make sure you're respectful when you come on here. Like I said, this is my happy place, you know. So you're not gonna see me going over to the massage parlor and when some of these fellas giving these happy endings, then you're not gonna see me over there messing with you. You see what I'm saying? So leave me alone, you know, when I'm over here enjoying myself. All right, very good, folks. We got the boxing news that's coming up, man. This week, well, I shouldn't say this week, it has been confirmed. So now we can really start making predictions on this. September 13th, Mexican Independence Weekend, Crawford versus Canelo. Who do you like?
It's a hard. It's kind of hard. I see Canelo. I can see Canelo just putting Crawford to sleep. But I can also see Crawford fighting a disciplined fight, stand with Canelo, because he got the legs, and Canelo's older, you know, right now. But for all intents and purposes, you put a gun in my head, Canelo by knockout. Crawford is gonna at some point try to, you know, that machismo is gonna come into play. He's gonna try to trade with Canelo, and I think that's gonna be his downfall.
So you sitting up here, so you trying to tell me Crawford, undefeated, he's your number one pound for pound fighter, right?
Yes.
When was the last time you seen a number one pound for pound fighter go to sleep?
When the last time you see a number 1 pound for pound fighter go up 3 weight classes to fight somebody?
To go up how many?
3.
Okay. What weight class does Crawford fight at?
He currently fights at 154, but he just moved up from 147.
Did he look bigger or around the same size as Majima? Did he look bigger than Errol Spence?
The Errol Spence? No, they looked around the same size.
Nah, he was way bigger than Errol Spence.
No, he didn't.
Bigger than Errol Spence. He looked around the same size as Majima, right? So we can't just so it's 2 weight classes, first and foremost. That's the first thing. Secondly, didn't Canelo start off around that same weight though?
Yeah, when he was like 15.
When I saw Canelo fight, when they used to have like the cinnamon kid on the fighting, he was fighting at like 147 or something like that.
And he was like 16 years old.
Canelo has gone up and fought Kovalev. He's going up to fight people like Bivol. So come on, man. So you really think that Canelo Alvarez is going to put the number 1 pound for pound fighter to sleep? You really think that?
He's capable of it, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think that? I ain't saying he's.
I think he can stop. He can stop Bud Crawford. You know,
Canelo didn't stop
Ryder.
He didn't stop Berlanga. He didn't stop, and he's hitting these dudes. So you think that
he was fight at 154 and below? No.
All right, Ty, talk to me. Who you think's gonna win this fight? It's getting more and more ridiculous.
Yeah, at this point, man, I just have to go with Canelo by decision. You know, he's been around these weights. He's fought at the higher weights, and this is Crawford's first time. You know, he's jumping up. I mean, I salute him. I applaud him. You know, for daring to be great and want to take on the Canelo. You know, who's one of the best. Who's fought everybody. But this is a serious jump. He's done his thing at 140 and 147. This is a serious jump, though. So I mean, I know he's a big guy. I know he got like he's done some wrestling and stuff, but I just don't think that he's a guy that pretty much stopped everybody at 147. He stopped everybody. If I'm not mistaken, he had like all stoppages since like 2014 until he moved on and fought Madrimal. So he's jumping up another weight class. He's fighting one of the best. So I think he's still gonna have some tricks up his sleeve. Still be good with his footwork, but he might just be a little slower. Mike can't move as good. So I just feel that it's a big step up, it's a big jump, and Canelo's more used to fighting around this weight. So I'm gonna just go with Canelo by decision. But I think Crawford may have some success. He may have his moments, but later on in the fight, he's gonna realize, I mean, he is a little getting up there at age, so he's gonna be like, man, this is starting to get to me at this weight. If he gets up to the later rounds, I think he'll just start slowing down. So I'm just gonna go with Canelo by decision.
Canelo he's not knocking these dudes out anymore. And I'd be seeing Canelo get a little tired. Look at this man right, putting on pause on his opponent, being too slippery, very long. He's going to have a reach advantage, but hits people in spots that they're not familiar with, that they aren't used to getting hit with. He's precision at his finest. He has that mean streak. Phil, you the one who told me. Look at that right there. You told me how the greatness of Bud Crawford.
He is great, but there's limits. Still limits. Like just because somebody's great doesn't mean it's like in no way would I accept Sugar Ray Leonard moving up to fight Michael Spinks. You know what I'm saying? No,
but he fought Donnie Lalonde.
That's different. Donnie Lalonde is a different level than Canelo.
And Donnie Lalonde was pretty good though. He was a pretty good fighter. He was a very big fighter. And so Canelo, I can see if you're saying that, he's going up to face better beef. He's going up to face somebody who's been at that weight all their career. But no, Canelo was a little guy too. You know what I'm saying? It's just that Canelo, he can go up there. Some people can do better against those bigger guys than other guys. But when you talk about matching those two guys up against each other, that's when you talk about styles making fights. And I just think with Canelo's dimensions, that he and Canelo's propensity to have trouble against certain styles. He always had trouble against dudes who are kind of a little crafty and a little slippery a little bit, and that aren't just, they got some special effects. Lara, Bivol, like those dudes is always going to give Canelo trouble. And like I say, when I'm watching him in these exchanges, see, you know when Canelo is going to throw his shots, you know, and I think that Crawford is going to be very prepared, and he's going to be working from angles that's going to frustrate Canelo. Now, could he possibly catch him with something? He very well can. But I just think that Crawford is going to be prepared. I don't think Crawford ever is going to take a fight that he is 100% truly knowing that he can beat that guy. You know what I mean? And has a game plan to be able to do it. There's certain things in his mind. I think what Crawford is going to attempt to do, I don't know how long he's going to be able to do it, because what you said, Ty, as far as the weight, like that's my biggest concern for Crawford. Is he going to be more stationary now because he has the extra weight on? What weight is he going to come in at? If he comes in too small, then some of those shots that he's going to be taking may be a little bit more tougher to recuperate from, because he doesn't have, you know, the girth to be able to withstand, you know, those type of shots. That's my only concern. But as far as him fighting Canelo, you can't hit somebody that's too quick. And so that's going to be a problem too. And will Canelo, being used to fighting these bigger guys, will that take, you know, or have a play a factor in this fight? Because it certainly will. Will he be able to catch up to him? Now, here's another thing about this fight too, and I don't want to be too long-winded. In Canelo's favor, when people begin to point out things like, well, you know, Floyd beat him, or they'll say Amir Khan was having some success against them, or some other guys. Well, the difference is this, is that I love Floyd to death as a fighter. Floyd is not facing a Canelo who is big and strong and didn't have to cut 2 extra pounds. See, that's a little bit different. Not to say that he wouldn't have beaten him, but you're not facing that. He doesn't have that to worry about. Amir Khan, remember when he fought Amir Khan, that was kind of like at a little catch weight. It was like 155 or something like that. And so he's not fighting that, you know, Canelo, who was fighting at 154 and things like that. He's fighting, and then he has to come up to that higher weight. So in his defense, that's going to be telling, you know, once these guys lock arms. But I look forward to it, man. The more I'm listening to it and to see, because this is the first time I'm seeing Bud fight somebody who is experienced, who isn't compromised in some type of way, outside of the fact that Canelo is starting to show a little bit more signs of eroding as far as his skills, but that won't be an excuse because of the challenge that he presents still at this stage of his career. Canelo, man, this another thing. Canelo, he's funny. So Canelo, he was in an interview this week. I forgot the name of the guy that was interviewed, because he kind of gave him a softball. But he kind of, when he was interviewing Canelo, he said, well, is the reason why you're not fighting Benavidez because he's been such an a-hole to you and stuff like that? And so Canelo's like, yeah, that's the reason why I'm not fighting him. He said, because he's not showing any respect and things like that. Do you buy that? That's the reason why Canelo's not facing David Benavidez.
No, because a lot of fighters have disrespected Canelo and gotten the fight. You know, Canelo don't want to fight him because he just don't want to fight him.
What about you, Ty? You think Canelo is just, you know, at this stage of his career that, you know, show some class, I'll fight you.
Yeah, but you saying he was trying to avoid what was he saying in the interview again? He was trying to avoid Benavidez.
No, the guy said the reason why you're not facing David Benavidez is it because he's been disrespectful to you.
Okay.
And so Canelo said that's the reason why he's not fighting him. It's not because he's afraid of him. It's just the fact that he don't. It's my boy right here. He said, bro, that's Molina. He said he's shaking his head, and then he say, show some elite highlights. Listen, only thing I'm showing is, sir, let me go ahead and answer you in the best, nicest voice that I possibly can.
Yeah,
and
nice.
The reason why I'm showing those highlights is because I don't want to get flagged. So we did all of this work and talking, and you showed the wrong highlights, and then you'll get flagged or the show gets taken down. So I just look for websites that have some type of footage. Okay. Does that answer your question, sir? What are you saying, Ty?
Yeah, I was just saying, I think he just, I don't know, man. I just think that he doesn't want to fight Benavidez. You know, he asked for a crazy amount of money. I just think he knows what Benavidez does. So I mean, anybody that asks him a question about Benavidez, I think he might get offended by it, or he might take it the wrong way. Like I just don't think we're ever going to see that fight. So I don't know what to think about it. Like, far as people asking him about that, because I mean, he's got right to fight Crawford, but of course Crawford's moving up in weight. So
Yeah. Nah, he don't. It's because that would be more of a reason to fight him. Like, man, what? Get me in the ring with this dude so I can go ahead and shut his mouth. You know what I'm saying? So
that's actually exactly what David Benavidez is doing. Man, let me get this David Morrell in the ring so I can shut his mouth.
right. I also think like it's really nowhere else for David Benavidez to go. Like, when you look at the landscape of, not to say that he doesn't want to fight or he's afraid of anybody else, but I'm saying, like, fighting somebody else at 175 who's also a former 168-pound fighter probably would be in my best interest to face him, as opposed to facing some of these other dangerous guys that lurk out there 175. I'll get to them, but I can get more and more acclimated to 175 before I take on those other challenges. Tim Tszyu, he's going to be he's looking to fight Joey Spencer in April. What do you think about that? You think that's a good fight for Tszyu, you know, to get his feet back wet, you know, after the 2 losses that he took?
Yeah, that's a good fight. I mean, Joey Spencer, I mean, he was an up and coming guy, but he was in the rough one with I think it was Jesus Ramos. Ramos, like, he was like 2 weight classes bigger. Yeah. And I think Spencer took a lot of punishment in that fight. So even though I never thought he was like capable of beating a Tim Tszyu, at least because of Tim Tszyu's punishment, that gives him a chance that makes it a little bit intriguing. But still, I favor Tim Tszyu in this fight, and this is a fight where Tim Tszyu can get his confidence back. So yeah, I think Tim Tszyu will actually stop Joey Spencer, and
you think so?
I think it's not just yeah.
Okay, and I'm glad that you're saying that, because I didn't think Joey Spencer was that bad of a fighter. He just looked like he was way outgunned, you know, against the guy that he was facing, like you say, Ramos at that time. So I don't know with Tim Tszyu. I would like for Tim Tszyu to take on like even a lesser fighter at this particular point. His first fight back, you know what I mean, after those 2 losses, then maybe a Joey Spencer for me. But I guess they think, you know, that he's able to, you know, take on the likes of a Spencer even after the 2 losses. What about you, Ty? You think?
I would too. Like, if he can't beat Joey Spencer, he probably his career at 154, well, on top level, is over.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. I don't know. You got to incrementally get your guy back. Now, I know Joey Spencer. I think Joey Spencer is probably like a top 20, 25 type fighter. But from what I recall from Joey Spencer, it's not that he's a powerful guy, but he has enough power that Tim Tszyu, after being brutally beaten down by Martins-Aliev like that, I don't want him facing anybody with any oomph on their punches. You know what I'm saying? You get an exchange, you get rocked, and then next thing you know, the referee's waving the fight off. I just don't want to put him in a situation like that. I just want him to get his confidence back and get some rounds in to know that I'm good. And then I'll go ahead and build off of that. That's just me. But what about you, Ty? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Like, he was in some tough fights, you know, against Fundora, then the stoppage loss to you know, the big guy that he fought. So I think this would definitely a step in the right direction. You know, he don't need to be fighting no other killers, you know, at 154. So I think this is a fight like Vel was saying. I remember when Joey was up and coming, but look, he's got about 20 fights now, so he's got some experience under his belt. But I think that, yeah, this is a fight that Tim Tszyu should pass. We don't know how he's going to look coming off those 2 losses, you know what I mean? Like, but I think this will, like, if he gets past Joey Spencer, that'll get his confidence back. Then, you know, he can get back in the mix. So I'm cool with that fight at this stage in his career after those two losses that he just suffered.
Got you. Got you. Yeah, I'm taking a look at Joey Spencer right now. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes for old Tim. I root for him because Tim is one of those throwback kind of guys that always looking for the smoke. And sometimes in life, man, it may not work out for you, but at the same time, you always admire those guys. Like the type of cloth that Tim Zoo comes from, money can't put more of a value on your respect level that you have for somebody who's willing to put themselves in a line of fire like that. He had no business fighting Murtazalia, but just his mentality put him in that fight and being very confident. Tim Tszyu is somebody, again, is one of those fighters who could have played it safe because I can just use my dad's name and then take these little soft fights and things like that. But no, he always was gunning for the gusto. When he wanted to fight Charlo. I'm like, what the heck? This dude, Charlo gonna knock your block off. But then he'd go in there. I thought that he was probably gonna lose against Tony Harrison. Went in there and whooped on Tony Harrison. Then Mendoza looked good. Went in there and whooped on Mendoza. And so he was like somebody to be reckoned with, up until he had the unfortunate situation that took place when Keith Thurman had his injury, and then the late replacement, Fundora, just a freakish accident, end up cutting him, giving him a huge gash, where in that situation, the referee could have very well waived the fight off. Either it would have been a no contest, or if it went after 5, I think Tim Tszyu was up early, so he would have kept his belt, and maybe some of the confidence wouldn't have waned. Then the other thing, too, I just felt like the WBC kept putting pressure on him when he was trying to heal from his cut. For some reason, it seemed like they didn't like Tim Tszyu. He wasn't, under their great graces or anything like that. And so they put him in a curious place, that he had to take the Murtazalia fight. He felt the need to take it right after. And probably Murtazalia is the best fighter that he's ever faced after a loss, after having that cut. So I root for the kid, man. Hopefully he comes back strong and he becomes a player again at 154 pounds. Also, it's official, April 26th. Are you fellas looking forward to this fight? The Eubank Jr. versus Ben fight. What about you, Will?
I was ready to get it over with because they've been talking about this for like 2-3 years. It's like, just let it happen. They only get this fight is only bankable because of the rivalry that their father had. These two is not even in the same weight class, you know what I'm saying? So they would try to force them together so much, and then of course Eubank Jr. got knocked out. I can't even remember the fight now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts some, a strain on that fight happening. But they finally here. And then at one point, I think Ben was failing drug tests and stuff like that. It's like now they finally here. Just get it on and get it over with,
At their best, who you favor? I'm saying no PEDs or anything like that. Who you got?
I think the size is too much, so I'll go with Eubank Jr. in this fight.
Gotcha. What about you, Ty? What do you see happening in this?
Yeah, it's finally happening. Both guys been talking trash to each other for a long time, but I'm with Vel. Yeah, I think Eubank wins this one. Like I said, Eubank was bigger. Ben, he did have the PED stent. He's came back. Had a few fights now. So, but I'm gonna go with Eubank. I'll go with Eubank in this fight.
No, I think Eubank, based on the experience, I used to think more of Eubank, and I wanted to see him fight some of the upper echelon guys when he was at 168. Now he's fighting back at 160. The only thing for Ben is what makes it more competitive is after Eubank lost against Beefy, because that was so surprising to see him get knocked out by Beefy, who's not a power puncher. In previous fights, throughout his career, at least at that stage, he had a rock solid chin. He had a chin like his father. Like every time I saw him get caught, that's why when he was supposedly going to fight Triple G, I was wondering how that was going to play out, because I always thought of him as somebody who had an iron jaw. And like I said, for whatever reason, I guess taking him lightly, not bracing yourself properly, he ended up getting stopped by a less than stellar puncher. So that's the only thing. But after he tested positive for the PED, Ben doesn't look like he's as powerful as he was before. I saw him hitting a guy who wasn't a highly ranked fighter, and he couldn't put a dent in him. And this type of punishment that he was inflicting on the guy, he wouldn't have been able to handle all of that if it was the same Ben that was fighting other guys who was putting some serious hurt. But I just think as far as skills and things like that, and as far as talent, as far as seasoning, I just think Eubank will be a little bit too much. And then size is going to play a factor. So I think at some point it might be a 12-round decision, but I don't think it's going to be a close fight. But that's something that the UK is looking forward to because they always like to see those names attached to each other. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one on here, which is Boots. It's official too. So now they're going to fight in Atlantic City. First and foremost, Ty, are you going to go to this fight right here with Stanionis and Boots?
Yes, sir. Like when I seen it, I hit up G5. I was like, hey man, this is true. You know, I've been seeing this going all across social media, and they was like, yeah, it's true. But he was saying the venue could possibly be changed. But yeah, if it's true that, you know, if nothing changes, I'm definitely going to pull up to that. You know, I've been in that venue 3 times now. Of course.
What you think about it?
Oh yeah, I love it, man. What, the venue or the fight?
No, the venue.
For me, it's cool because like it's not your typical NGM Grand, Barclays Center in Brooklyn. It's small. It's a small venue. You know what I'm saying? You would think that's the kind of venue where like up and coming guys will fight at. You know, guys just getting started. It's not a big venue at all. But you know, that's the same place that I went to the Wu-Tang concert at. But the Wu-Tang was in a different part. Like the fights, they keep it in like a ballroom type part in there, you know. It's kind of small, but the Wu-Tang, I don't understand why they don't put the fights in there. I mean, they could definitely sell more tickets if they put it out, you know, in the other part of the building, but they keep it in like this ballroom. So it's not a big venue. I mean, all seats are a good seat. You don't have trouble getting to your seat. So I'm cool with it, and I'm definitely gonna be pulling up.
Is it one of them places that all the seats are good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm thinking about that one right there. I'm not sure. But who you favor, and what do you think's gonna happen?
I'll go just with the fact that I know Boots didn't look good in his last fight, but he's been more active. You know, Stanionis had the injuries and everything, so I'm just gonna go, you know, with that aspect of the fight, with Boots being more busy. But it is a good fight. I can see Stanionis standing there trading with Boots. He's definitely not gonna back down, but I just feel that Boots. You know, if you trade, you can't just trade with Boots. I mean, I know Cannon had a success and everything, but I just feel that this is going to play out in Boots' favor. I just feel that Stanley has just been too inactive. But I think it's going to be a good fight. But I don't know if I would say stoppage right now. Maybe I'll say a late start. If Boots is Boots before the Karen fight, if he goes in there, makes the adjustments, if he really works on it, you know, his craft in the gym, if he's focused, I'll say Boots by, you know, a knockout. But with the way he's been looking, I'm gonna just go with Boots by decision right now.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Bill? What you think?
It's finally here. That's one of the fights. Is finally here. We get a unification and Boots get his big fight. I think this is one of those fights that's going to inspire Boots a little bit more, you know, because of the level of opponent. And I think he's going to be up for it. He's going to be better for it than he was in the Karen fights. So I think he's going to put on a better performance. I think Stanionis is going to be there to fight and do what he do and be that formidable opponent that was very much needed, and the champion that he is. But I think Boots is going to pull it out. I have Boots winning a decision using, you know, his boxing ability. I think he's not going to he's going to bang with Stanionis, but I don't think that's going to be the story because Stanionis can bang also. So I think Boots will have to dig in his bag and use more of his boxing ability, and this is where he's going to win a decision.
Yeah, Boots is probably going to win this fight. You know, to be honest with you, I would pick Stanionis if he was active. But Stanionis is This is his second fight. No, well, he's had 2 fights since 2021. And so it's just he's been too inactive. But his fighting style, see, here's the thing with him. He's so technically sound. And he's so short with his punch. You see how he keeps his guard up like that, and he throws like really sharp punches on the inside. And I think somebody that's so technically savvy and sound like that will give somebody like Boots trouble. He doesn't fight like Kieran, but he comes from a solid school. That they're fundamentally sound as far as the way they're able to throw their shots and be on point to cover themselves for what's going to respond, or what the response that his opponent is going to come with. So I like that about him. I just don't like the inactivity. And so I think at some point, he's just either going to run out of gas, or he's not going to be as sharp as he needs to be. Because even as far as him only having 2 fights in 4 years, he hasn't fought in a year. So in addition to only having another fight before that in 4 years, he's going to be rusty because he hasn't fought in a year. And he was fighting somebody like that was 6-0 with 5 KOs. I don't know if that guy was one of those fast trackers, but I like him. I like the guys that come from the Eastern European side of the world. They seem to be a little bit more tougher, and they also seem to be fundamentally sound when it comes to sport of boxing, and they just tough as nails. It's going to be a tough fight, but at the same time, you just have to be a little bit more active in order to be able to pull off a fight against somebody as talented as Jerron Boots Ennis. So I got Boots by a 12-round decision. But it's going to be a good one. And for Boots' sake, I'm happy for him because he's coveting the opportunity to be able to take somebody's belt, because the belt that he has, it was handed to him because Bud had left the weight class and didn't want to stick around to fight him. Also, Matias, I talked about this before, and I'm not going to touch on this because I'm not. Are you guys familiar with Valenzuela that fights at 140, who is scheduled to face Subriel Matias?
Yeah, I think we did touch on this last week.
They ordered it, but it's official now. But as we get closer to this right here, we can touch on this a little bit later. But also this week, you want to talk about Keith one-time Thurman. He's going to be fighting. It's almost like 3 years, man.
Even 3 years. He finally got a fight. Finally got something against a former bantamweight. He was like a super bantamweight at one point.
So what do you think, though? Did you get a chance to take a look at Jarvis?
Yeah.
Nothing to write home about?
No, but because of Thurman's inactivity, even because of his inactivity, you still wonder, like, what is he going to look like when he even get in the ring? And is he even going to be inspired for this fight? Thurman is just one of the biggest, like, what ifs, kind of a disappointment. And I say that not because even how his career went, it's because of what he said and then how his career went, where he said, look, I don't care about and all this. And he wants to be the best. And it really didn't, he just left more to be, he left more to be desired. And I was a Keith Thurman fan. Like, I liked when he first came on the scene and what he was bringing to the table. And it just, like, after he got those few good wins, it just seemed like he just, got comfortable with, being on the top level and really didn't want to take the fights that we desired. But I think he should be able to beat Brock Jarvis, hopefully, and he get a good payday. But hopefully this is not an indication of, like, him trying to be on the top level at, like, let's say at 154. I think he would still need a few more fights to get himself back, in the mix.
Look like he's going to be. This is going to be at 147. What about you, Ty? You familiar with Brock? And if so, how do you like his chances against one time?
Nah, I'm not familiar with him, but yeah, like Vel said, man, Keith Thurman's career, I don't know what happened, man. From the injuries, the layoffs. I mean, he came back. He looked good against Barrios. Then he had the injury when he was supposed to fight Tim Tszyu. So his career has just been funny, man. Like, I think he should get past this guy, but like, even if he does, I don't see him, you know, fighting all the big names. I see him, you know, just taking a few more fights. But like if he just kept his career going, you know, without all the layoffs and stuff, I think he would definitely be in a different spot. But like, as far as him being a top competitor,
while you talking, check this out though. Check out Brock against Liam Parle. But I'm listening.
yeah, I just feel that like even he gets past him, he just really won't be in the midst for all those big fights. Like I said, just been too much inactivity, too much ring rust, too many injuries. So he's definitely not the same Keith Thurman. On top of that, he's getting older. So like I said, gets past this guy, maybe a couple more fights, but who knows if we're going to get another layoff? You know what I mean? Who knows with this at this point with Keith Thurman? He's had multiple layoffs, so I don't see him as being a top competitor anymore. I think that era is definitely over. So I just see him taking a couple more fights after this, but nothing that nobody's really going to have their eyes on. So I think Keith Thurman's run as being a major player is out the window now.
This dude get knocked out by Liam Parle. Liam Parle over there getting sturdy. You see him over there getting sturdy after he knocked him out.
You know what? I'm gonna change my prediction. I say Jarvis beats Keith Thurman and Keith Thurman retires.
He might just got cold. He got caught cold against Liam
Ricky Hatton style when Ricky Hatton lost that fight.
Yeah, I mean, he's a power puncher. Hopefully, for his sake, that he's able to get a lather. And you know, not get caught early. But Keith Thurman isn't somebody nowadays who is throwing that much heat. You know what I mean? And he looks vulnerable at times. When he was fighting Barrios hit him with a body shot, kind of had him in a little bit of trouble. And we always got a question at this particular point in Keith Thurman's career is hunger. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to just be off that long. He still talks a good game. I was listening to him talk to Brock Jarvis in an interview. When I seen the press conference, he had me eager to watch the fight, the way he was talking to him. But we'll see, man. I think that this is supposed to set up a matchup between him and Tim Tszyu. So the winners are supposed to go ahead and clash again, I believe. Tim Tszyu. Yeah, but that's the reason why the fight is out there in Australia. So with that being said, it surprised me that he has this fight at 147, being off as long as he's been off. Still at this stage of his career, still being able to make that weight is kind of impressive, you know. So obviously he's been in the gym. Also, Fundora, he's going to be fighting Cordell Booker, and that's for March as well. Have you guys seen Cordell Booker, and do you think that he's going to pose a threat to Sebastian Fundora?
I haven't, so I can't really say. I had to do more research on him.
You're going to ask me to put this on there and not do your due diligence.
Did I ask you to put that on there?
Yeah, you did. All right. So now, what about you, Ty? Talk to me. You think this is a good fight? I'm gonna tell you like this as far as Cordell Booker. For one, he looks like Cool Boy to a certain degree. I'm talking about the same height and size. But it's to me, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of my time. Yeah. I think it's a waste of Fundora's time. The only thing I'll say before I turn it over to you is that I think from Fundora's standpoint is that, and here he is right here. From Fundora's standpoint, I think since he was supposed to fight Spence, and he probably has been getting prepared for Spence, that he doesn't want to be done how Tszyu was done by giving me somebody, a different fighter who's probably a harder fight than I was going to fight in the first place, or somebody totally different from what it is I was going to experience. And if you give me somebody totally different than I was going to experience in the Spence fight, then I need it to be a fight that I have no business losing. And so he did himself a great service by doing so. All right, what about you, Ty? What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him, but from the looks of everything, of course this is a big step down, you know, from fighting Errol Spence. But I'm a go with Fundora, man. He's got the experience, you know. He fought Brian Mendoza, fought, you know, Tim Tszyu, Erickson Lubin. So you know he's got a belt, so he's a champion. So I think this is just another fight just another fight in Fondor's way that he's definitely just gonna get it out of the way, and then he's gonna continue his career and go back, getting those big names. So this is definitely a big step down from Spence. So I think Fondor gets the job done easily.
Easily, man. This is first 4 rounds. This is him against Austin Williams. Austin Williams knocks him out. What I was impressed with Cordell is the fact that he didn't retire after getting pummeled like this, and the fact that he's still fighting. Hopefully, for his sake, that he'll make a lot of money in this fight, but he's certainly going to get pummeled. He doesn't have that much power. He sits there in the pocket, and that's exactly where Fondor wants you. You see all of these shots this guy is getting hit with. He's going to get almost knocked outside the ring in this fight. I think they call him Ammo Williams, and he was unleashing the ammo on this kid. Very, very impressive victory for Austin Williams. And I think that it's going to be the same thing for Fondor. I don't even know why they even selected it. Again, it's going to be a waste of time. Like, really, Fondor's been off so long that give him a little bit more difficult of a fight. He hasn't fought somebody this caliber in such a long time. And why give him that now as the champion? And unless they just don't have no money. You know what I'm saying? Like, the money is gone. They're going to have to give it to Sheik, man. Because this right here, and if this is a headline fight, nobody's going to pay for this. So we'll see. We go to the next thing right here, man, so we can get to this football. All right, so we talked about that before. We talked about that, right? The fact that Rolly is going to be fighting as opposed to
and then Isaac Cruz turning it down. Yeah, we talked about that.
Now, one of the last few topics is this right here is ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous to me. This guy right here, man. When will Berlinga ever try to fight somebody to cement that he's legitimate? Out of all the guys that you're gonna be facing, I understand Skull has a belt, right? And then you want to be a titleist, but you really don't. I can't say deserve, because whatever it is they give you, you deserve it if they're willing to give it to you. But from a purist standpoint, I can see if Berlanga was like how David Benavidez, he beat Boo Boo, he beat Plant. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like he was running from anything. You haven't beaten anybody like that. You haven't even attempted to fight anybody like that. You've been fighting all of these tomato cans, and I apologize for calling fighters tomato cans because they're great. But I'm saying, in terms of talent level, you keep fighting mediocre guys, and you get a chance to get Canelo. Now you're going to get the Gabe Rosado fight. Out of all the people that you possibly can face, you got the Caleb Plants out there, you got the Jaime Maguias out there, you got the Pachecos and people like that. Why not just one time in your life face somebody who is a threat, a legitimate fighter, as opposed to just going for these fights that, I'm cashing out or whatever. But you want William Skull. William Skull might be. He might be. I don't know. Rolly Romero's up there. He's on Mount Rushmore, worst champions of all time. If he's not on Mount Rushmore, he's like the next one. He's in the batter's spot. So what do you think about that? Do you think that fight right there should be allowed? So how is that should be allowed? Let me. Oh, okay. Go ahead and make your case. Because the only reason I'm gonna say
because you bring up good points. You bring up good fighters for Caleb Plant, and Diego Pacheco, but they're not champions. They don't have the belt, regardless of how horrible William Skull is. No. Skull is just there to be beaten. He has a belt.
Your point that you just said. How is it that he deserves the chance at William Skull before Caleb Plant? He hasn't beaten anybody that Caleb Plant, he hasn't beaten.
About that. So he's setting the sights on it, but that doesn't mean he's going to get it.
I'm just saying that if that's allowed, that is no way in the world.
Canelo Alvarez is fighting Skull in May. That's what's going to happen.
So if my recollection is correct, I do remember Canelo beating guys like Triple G, fighting dudes like Danny Jacobs, fighting even Ryder and people like that. He beat Jaime Maguia. He beat Berlanga. He beat Caleb Plant. He has the opportunity now to pick and choose kind of who he wants to fight, because I think some of those guys that I mentioned, maybe Munguia was like a number one contender. So you do get like voluntary defenses. So you have that. And you got to put Canelo in like a different category than a dang on Berlanga. We can't just put everybody on the same pedestal. It has to be more equitable. So with that being said, people like a Caleb Plant, people like even a Diego Pacheco, I think resume is better than what I've seen from Berlanga. Like they will be more deserving of a title shot than I would say Edgar Berlanga. I don't even know how Edgar Berlanga is in the top 10. Like, what have you done? Who have you beaten to be in the top 10 outside of faring better against Canelo than we thought that you were going to fare? And you might only won 1 or 2 rounds. Let's talk some sense, Ty. What do you think about that? Do you think that should be allowed? You think that should be sanctioned? A William Skull versus Edgar Berlanga, whose biggest victory may have been against, I have no idea.
Nah, I don't want to say it. Like, I think the fact that he just, even though he didn't really win any rounds, against Canelo, that was still one of the biggest names that he's fought. And, Canelo didn't get him out of there. So I think, from a Canelo to a William Skull is a big downgrade. I would still, him and Caleb Plant had some, back and forth. They had some words. So I would like to see him, take on a Caleb Plant or somebody, of that name. But William Skull, that's a big, downgrade from, the guy he just fought. So I wouldn't want to see that.
I just, on some just having respect for your organization type stuff, I wouldn't want to see it. It would be unfortunate that they will allow such a thing, because then once you end up fighting William Skull, who are you going to defend it against? You going to do a rematch with Gabe Rosado? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is nutty, man. And Vail keeps a line. Like, if you allow Vail to run things, like, let's say, for instance, we let Vail run the country, you'll have all type of stuff going on in the United States. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I gotta break out because I gotta do a little bit of work because of obviously I don't do nothing, and that's why I gotta go in, the office 5 days a week. What they saying? So
no, I ain't saying that.
That's what they saying. We don't do nothing. So, well, I do mine. So I'm gonna go get some work done. So I'm gonna have to cut out on y'all.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I certainly appreciate your contribution to our efforts. All right. You have a good one.
Sir. Thank you. Peace.
Just a few more topics, Ty. On here, we got Cepeda Farmer rematch. At first, they were saying that he was going to fight in Cancun, but he wasn't going to fight Tevin Farmer. But now it's looking like they're close to finalizing a matchup. I'm not going to talk about this because we talked about this before, but I just want to point that out. We think we talked about this before, but that triple header. Do you like that card? Is that going to be is that the best card of the year so far? You still there with us, Tom? Do you see it? Oh, I'm on here by myself. So let me go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. You got me on here talking about myself. My bad. So on here, last few topics, you got Garcia, Rolly Romero. Haney's going to fight against Ramirez, and then Bacoli against Ajaba in the triple header. I think that might be one of the best fight cards of the year. I'm going to keep moving forward. Also, you got Lawrence Okoli. He's in negotiations to face Luis Ortiz. I think that's a good fight for both guys. I think it's winnable for Luis Ortiz. And then also Lawrence Okoli, he can get his feet wet and then fight against a former boogeyman in the heavyweight division to see how he fares as he moves forward and trying to pursue his goal of becoming heavyweight champion. All right, I was going to ask Vail and the guys this question right here because I touched on, and we were talking about Nori earlier, but the fellas are out of here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. I just want to say shout out to Bo, man. You understand what I'm saying, man? Get your health intact, man. I look a little crazy out here. You understand what I'm saying? But I want to say thanks to everybody who came through. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We come on every Sunday around 2 o'clock or 2-ish to have these good boxing discussions. So again, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, and I'm out. Peace.